Hey everyone, welcome to the 23rd Learn livestream session. I'm Sabrina and I'm your host for today. Today's topic is a big one and probably one of the most important conversations we can have in this market. So, in the past few months, we've seen a wave of stablecoin announcements from Trump's World Liberty Financial to Wyoming's state backed coin and even a new version from Fidelity Investments. So, today we're asking, why are stablecoins suddenly the hottest thing in crypto again? And what are these newcomers trying to fix? And in a market where we already have options like USDT, USDC, and USDE, do these newcomers actually stand a chance? So, those are the questions we'll be answering today. And just a quick reminder before we begin, we'll be doing 2 rounds of red packet giveaways today worth a total of 500 USDT. One for our existing users and one for our new users. So when the pop-up appears, don't hesitate. Make sure you click it to claim your reward. And of course, if you would like a slice of the pie, be sure to sign up now to get ahead of the game. And while you're at it, like this video, share the stream out, and let's start. First, we are very pleased to welcome Paz, trader and founder of 250 Magazine. Hi, Paz. It's great to have you with us again. Could you please introduce yourself and share what you do?
Hi, Sabrina. Nice to be with you again. I'm a trader currently on crypto. I used to be a stock trader before. And I also own a magazine that is called 25 O'Clock that is all about tech and crypto. But now I'm actually really focused on the trading because I think is where we're all supposed to be.
All right, thanks, Paz. And next we have Jip, co-founder of Tribe Capital and full-time trader. Hey, Jip, how's it going? Please give us a short introduction of yourself and
Yes,
share a bit of what you do.
yes. Hey guys, thank you for having me. First of all, I'm Yip. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Amsterdam. Currently staying in London, actually. And as you said, been trading full time now for 3 years, and been trading and investing in total for around 5 years. And I'm also the founder of Tribe Capital, which is this online trading community where I try to teach people how to become a profitable trader themselves. And I'm very happy to be here today.
Nice. All right. Thank you both for joining us today. It's going to be a great session, and the audience and myself can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. So, for those of you who are just tuning in, I was sharing that we will be giving away 500 USDT in red packets today. We'll be doing 2 rounds of giveaways, one for our existing users and one for our new users. So, if you're interested to claim a share of 500 USDT, be sure to keep a lookout for the red packet and click it when it appears. Right. So over the past year, stablecoins have gone from being just another tool in crypto to the main event. Right. Trump-backed World Liberty Financial is talking about U.S. stablecoin. Wyoming wants a government-issued one. Fidelity is jumping in. Why are all these players suddenly so interested in stablecoins now? Is it about control, regulation, or are stablecoins becoming like the real financial rails of the future? Let's unpack it together. So Trump's financial team recently floated the idea of launching a US stablecoin under World Liberty Financial. Do you think this is a serious move that could reshape how stablecoins are used in the US, or is this more of like a political flex? Maybe Paz, would you like to go ahead first?
Yeah. So basically, I think it's a little bit of both. The fact that the dollar is not as strong as it used to be, they are looking to get again into the control of the financial situation in worldwide, right? So that's the way that they are looking at it, and that's the reason why they enter in crypto, right? And the only way to take control into the whole financial system and in crypto, it will be through a stable coin. Why? Because the stable coin will be the only coin for now that will be mass adoption, right? Like it's very difficult to convince everyone that Bitcoin is a thing. We are just 2-3% of people that they believe on that. So, but if you tell them that now, instead of having your money in paper, you need to use a digital currency, they can gain back the control of your money. That,
Okay.
I mean, that's good or not good, depending on how you see the things.
Mm-hmm. And Jip, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Bas is saying, because I feel like a lot of people years ago thought that at some point Bitcoin was going to be something that you could pay your bills with, could pay your groceries with, etc. And I feel like Bitcoin is more and more moving towards this store of value rather than actual something that you can pay your groceries with, or pay your bills with.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, if there is gonna be anything in Web3, or in the crypto space in general, that is going to be a way to pay for certain stuff, it is going to be stablecoins. I think that as well. And I feel like a lot of these stable coins that are coming onto the market now probably have been waiting to come onto the markets until like proper regulation was coming, which is now obviously coming, and crypto is pretty booming also, obviously because Donald Trump is talking about it. And I feel like these companies have probably been waiting for years to get
Mm-hmm.
started, and now that regulation is finally coming, for example over here in Europe, regulation is really really coming right now, which is, I think, is a good thing for the long term. And I feel like all those companies have seen it as a massive opportunity to now start entering the market, which is why it seems like this hot topic, because everyone is entering the market at the same time. Because
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like they've been waiting for years to do this, but
Mm-hmm.
they've just been waiting for the right moment.
Yeah, I think people are more open to it as well right now versus like maybe, a couple years back, right?
Exactly.
So, Wyoming stablecoin will reportedly be 100% backed and state issued. Could this kind of regional or state level coin actually challenge bigger ones like USDT or USDC? What kind of use case would this solve? Uh, Jeep.
Personally, I feel like if I also look at my own perspective and my own like feeling with these kind of stable coins, I
Mm,
think I would always try to stick as much as possible with the bigger stable coins like USDC or USDT. Probably like I prefer even just to stay with USDT, because it's just
mhm,
one that I've been using from the start. And I remember that
mhm,
I'm from Europe, so for me it was already kind of a big transition to start thinking in dollars instead of euros in general. And then
mhm,
instead of USD, I had to think in USDT.
mhm,
So for me, like since I've been doing this now for like 5 years or maybe even 6 years in crypto,
mhm.
in order to switch to a different stable coin, I think for me personally it would take a lot.
Oh,
So all those smaller coins, I feel like they personally, I don't think they will add a lot of value to the space.
mhm,
Uh, and I think most people will, at the end of the day, still stay with USDT or maybe USDC, but
mhm.
probably most will stay with USDT. So I feel like the smaller stable coins are gonna really have a hard time to really get a proper market share.
Interesting that you mentioned that. Okay, we'll actually cover more about that in the
Mhm.
later segment. But yeah, Fidelity's involvement is notable because it signals traditional finance entering this space, right? In your opinion, do you think this is like a bullish or cautious sign for stablecoin adoption? Maybe pass. Could you take this one?
Yeah, it's totally bullish. I don't know if you remember, but you remember when Amazon started receiving online payments?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone decided at that point that the digital payments is something safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you have these big people from Fidelity that are very trusted by big institutions and big people around the world, that they will see, okay, if these guys are using it, means we can trust on them.
Mm. Yep. And so, do you think that this actually, like institutional credibility, gives users greater trust in a stablecoin? Would that give traders and institutions more confidence in using this stablecoin, or would it still have to prove itself like any other token?
Well, it's like everyone knows about what has been the problem with the stable coins until now. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously, there needs to be something that is backing up these coins, right?
Mm-hmm.
In traditional world, they say that the dollar and the money that is around a country is backed up by the gold that this country owns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the same way, we are talking about that these coins, they need to be backed up by something. Until now, and everything that happened before with UST and everything was because actually we were believing that there was some type of backup, but there was nothing, right? So now what the institutions are going to look for is that there is a backup for that coin. And I think people and big investors are going to look for the same. They will look for coins that are regulated for good backup, and obviously that there is interest or a use case for it.
Mm. And we all remember what happened with UST. Since then, do you think the industry has gotten smarter when it comes to designing and backing stablecoins? What do you think are some lessons that we've learned from that crash?
I personally feel like a lot of people have learned a lot of lessons from that crash, which is also one of the reasons why I said before, like, I think I will always stay with USDT,
Mm-hmm.
maybe USDC, just like the OGs that that have been in this space for such a long time and like have been withstanding all of the big storms that they had to take on, every single time that USDT even depegged the tiniest bit, my entire Twitter feed would be all over the place and everyone would be extremely scared. So I do think that there's a very small probability that something like Luna will happen again, also
Mm-hmm.
due to regulation, of course, and also due to the fact that also what Paz was saying is that now it actually has to be backed up by something, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone is also searching for that in order to be interested in using a stable coin. So I don't think that people will be using stable coins anymore if they simply enter the market without being backed up by something. And also like getting crazy ROI on staking your stable coin is not something that I think will make people trust a stable coin. I think it will actually make people distrust a stable coin. I still think it's a good thing that potentially stable coins can offer the same interest rate as for example the United States is offering on the dollar, or maybe slightly higher. But if it gets towards a level where it's just unrealistic, I think for me it would be a massive factor that would make me distrust that stablecoin. So that is definitely something that I would be looking at myself, but I think everyone should be looking at. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Totally
think
agree.
yeah,
Totally
agree.
agree on that. That last sentence said
Yeah,
everything. I
yeah.
think we are in an era that people need to start understanding that there is not free money for anyone. So whenever someone is trying to sell you something that is too good to be true, you need to be careful with that, because there is no free money, there is not free anything. There is always something behind.
Yeah, you should always do your due diligence. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. I think there's also a lot of people in the chat box agreeing that they're like expressing doubt. Like, is there really any newcomer that can overtake USDT? I mean, with USDT's market dominance, it seems quite unlikely. But like what the both of you guys have said, to the audience, just be careful when you're looking at newer projects. Yeah, just be very careful.
It's the same as with Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Over the past 10 years, we have seen so many projects that were supposed to be the Bitcoin killer or the Ethereum killer. There might be new stablecoins coming onto the market that will take a big market share, but in order to take that big market share, it's going to take decades at least. Like it's not going to happen in the next few years. I really truly don't believe that.
All right. There seems to be like a tug of war happening, right? Institutions on one side, DeFi native protocols on the other. Do you think both can coexist, or is this like a winner takes all kind of game for this industry?
Yeah, I think of course they can coexist. It's like the taxis and the scooters. I always compare it. I like to compare with real time things, right? There is always a traditional taxi, and then you have the scooters that is much cheaper. So you have different audience for them, I guess.
Agree. Okay, let's just take a look at some of the questions that the audience might have. Let me see. Also, the first round of red packets will be happening soon, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. Fastest fingers first, guys. So click the red packet as soon as it appears to claim your reward. Right, let's see. Do you think we'll ever see a stablecoin included in a central bank's reserve portfolio?
No, personally, I don't think so. I think just the banks in general, obviously, they don't. They kind of hate crypto. Like for example, I've been struggling so long to get a proper bank setup over here in the Netherlands. I'm currently in London, but then in the Netherlands with my business, just because I was related the tiniest bit to crypto. So seeing like the hatred from banks towards crypto and probably even more towards stable coins, I don't think they will ever do that. It would highly surprise me.
Well, it
And
might happen. It might happen in case it's something where the government is inside. I mean, if I think it's the only way that this will, when there is something that is beneficial for them. Whenever there is something beneficial for them, then they will incorporate it. But if not, it will be very, very difficult, because look at how many years we've been trying for people to understand what is crypto and what is blockchain, and how much it cost to get this adoption that everyone was expecting. And now the only time that we are achieving that is when they are actually controlling everything. So they are basically, the idea of decentralization is no longer there. They want this, yeah, they want to have digital money, but they want to control it. So at the end, is not exactly what we expect, and it's never going to be what they allow us to do, because it's not what they want or what is good for them. Hope I explained myself properly. This not being an English speaker is not easy sometimes.
You did
I
great.
can relate.
That's an interesting perspective. Okay, here's another question. What are your thoughts on algorithmic stablecoins? Are they dead, or is there still a place for them if done right?
I think there's a place for everything as long as it's done right. Despite like things that may have happened in the past. But like I said, as soon as stable coins or just projects in general start promising you unrealistic interest rates or rewards for holding or staking a certain coin, and I think you just have to be extremely, extremely careful. But yes, if done right, there could still be a place.
I think you're right. Like, there could be these kinds of stable coins, but people will just generally be more cautious when
Exactly.
looking at these stable coins, right? Okay, yeah, keep those questions coming, and we'll move into the next segment first. So let's look at the current giants like USDT, USDC, and USDE versus the incoming players like Fidelity's stablecoin. What are the core differences in how they work, and more importantly, which one do traders actually trust and use? So let's find out from our panelists. USDT continues to lead the stablecoin space with over 70% market share, and it's still the most traded stablecoin globally. From a trader's perspective, what do you think has made USDT such a reliable default, especially for like high volume strategies? Maybe Jeep, would you like to go first, since you said that you use a lot of USDT?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just the way that you roll into it, right? Like I said, as soon as I started out, I first had to get used to the fact that I had to use dollars instead of euros because I'm from a Europe country. And then I started out trading, and when I started out trading, I was just simply trading USDT pairs. Everyone told me to trade them rather than other pairs. It's just the way that I learned myself how to trade and how I've always been doing it, and therefore I don't know. It works well. It works fine for me. So I don't see any reason to ever switch unless something happens to USDT that makes me distrust them. But as I said, so many things have been said, so many things have happened, and it's still by far the biggest stablecoin out there. So I don't really see that happening in the near future. And I feel like it's almost like a habit, and to get rid of a habit that you've been practicing for like 5-6 years, or maybe even 1 or 2 years, it would take something very, very big that needs to be so much better than USDT in order for me and also the other traders that I know to switch to other USD stable coins.
What do you think, Paz?
Well, in terms of trading, the liquidity is there, right? So unless same way as he said, like there is a big change and everyone started using, let's say, USDC, it won't be a trade, because the trader, what is looking is for liquidity, right? You're looking a place where you can exit your trade, right? So I don't think for now there is no other place. Like, I know USDC is trying to take over that kind of market, but even myself, I have some USDC, but not because I was looking to get in USDC, because someone maybe told me, can you send it to me on USDC? So I had to change it. And then, but in general, we are used to use USDT. And I think it will be very, very difficult to change that.
Mm. And like you mentioned about USDC, right? It has positioned itself as the world's largest regulated digital dollar, fully backed, transparently audited, and used globally. So for traders who prioritize trust and transparency, do you think that kind of stability still matters in a market that is increasingly chasing speed and yield, or like you said, people still just default back to USDT?
I think is the thing is that we are talking about liquidity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of if you are a day trader, what is
Mm-hmm.
interesting for you is that you can exit whenever you want, right? And I don't think there is liquidity enough in the other stable coins, either in USDC, to be able to trade in the same way that we trade with USDT. So even, and also we are not talking about investment. When you talk about investment, you're talking in long term,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then is when maybe the due diligence needs to be a little bit more tough. But when you're day trading, for you, what is important is that there is liquidity to enter and that there is liquidity to get out,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So yeah, I see it in a different type of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Okay.
think it really depends on what type of trader you are, what type of investor you are. But I totally like, it's very difficult for me to try to imagine that things will switch fast. I think USDT will still be the number one and will still get almost all the market.
Yeah. Athena's USDE introduces a new kind of stablecoin, right? One that offers delta neutral yield while maintaining a soft peg to the dollar. Is this the f- is do you think this is the future where stablecoins are expected to do more than just hold value? What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I do think so. Yeah, I do think, as I said, also in order for them to be able to compete with the regular dollar and to make it attractive to people to put their dollars into stable coins, I think they have to do something that makes it attractive. And this could be one of those strategies that is relatively safe and could offer people like a pretty nice return on investment or pretty nice interest rate, I would say. So yeah, I do think that a lot of stablecoins will start introducing stuff like that to make it even more attractive. You can actually see it now already. There's so many exchanges where when you reach certain volume, you can stake your USDT for pretty nice rewards, which over a longer period of time is just a lot more attractive than the regular interest rates when you keep your money in the bank. And I think they will keep on doing that. But as we have said many times in the stream, you just have to be careful not to fall into traps when they promise you things that they can't keep up to, you know. So yeah, I definitely do think they will be introducing a lot of that stuff, and I think it's a good thing because I'm not that big of a fan to keep your money in the bank anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, just be careful at all times.
And if Fidelity launches a stable coin, it could attract do you think it could attract a lot of like TradFi capital? Do you think that matters? Like the launch of this stablecoin matters to crypto native users and traders, or do you think it would purely appeal to the TradFi crowd more?
I think it could be both, but I think yes, those kind of things could definitely attract TradFi a lot more. You've seen it with the ETFs, right? Those I always call them like the boomers. They're always waiting for like their companies that they've been knowing about for like decades to get into this market or to get into certain niches before they want to kind of like follow them, which is also why they're often pretty late to the party. But I think it's definitely needed in order to attract them. And I think it's more interesting to those kind of people than the people that have been in the space for like 10 years. You know, they have been through all the degenerate times, and I don't think they will care too much about new stable coins entering the market, even if Fidelity is gonna make that happen. But yeah, for people like my parents, for example, or maybe your parents, I think it could definitely be a trigger to start entering the stablecoin market or just the crypto market in general.
Just to get their feet
I'm
wet.
still here. It's just my camera again. Is
No.
guys,
No
you need to
worries.
do like a competition to win a new camera or a new computer, and I will participate and win it because this is the second time.
I'll definitely keep you updated. Oh, okay. Welcome.
But I'm still here. I didn't leave.
No worries. Okay, let's say the new stablecoins come with perks like trading rewards or even higher yields than what is offered for USDT or USDC. Is that enough to pull you away from these stablecoins, or do those incentives only work short term? Uh, yeah.
Is Pat still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here. So no, I mean, I think it's something good, but I will never put all my money on one thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
always good. I will also try it and will also investigate and I will also try it and see what are my feelings once you do it, right? Once you
Mm-hmm.
stay, it's like everything. It's like when you want to do any type of investment, you always need to start with something little, try, see, study about it, and then if you feel confident, then you can put even more money. But you never, when something that is new and there is no much evidence of what's going to happen with it, I think the worst you can do is to put all your coins on the same place, right? So I don't think it's something that we should ignore. I think it's something that we should really keep looking at it, because as we mentioned before, like at the end, what we are all looking is that how we can maximize our profits or of our investments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having the money on the bank, or instead of having just the money there not moving or not doing anything, you can put part of it, and if you can get some like incomes, passive incomes, while you are staking that, is perfect. Why not?
Yeah, why not, right? Jip, do you have something to add on earlier?
Yeah. To me, like just a tiny difference in interest rate or in return on investment is not really gonna make me personally interested to switch to a different stablecoin, because I feel like comparing that to the return on investment that you can make with investing into crypto or trading with my USDT stablecoins, it's like blowing it out of the water. It's like a major difference. So it wouldn't really make me personally interested in switching, but to the people that really put their money from the bank into stablecoins in order to stake them for nice rewards, yes, it could definitely make them obviously interested to switch from USDT to staking other stablecoins for slightly better rewards. But once again, as we said many times, be very careful, because
Yep.
usually when it seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true.
Yes. And, some people have floated the idea of region specific or sector specific stable coins, like a Southeast Asia coin or one optimized for DeFi use. Do you think that makes sense, or does it just add complexity to this? Yeah. Us?
Yeah, if one gives you, yeah, sorry, I'm still here, so you can ask me anything. I think if there is like let's talk about, for example, the Wyoming coin, right? So let's say if you use the Wyoming coin to pay taxes or to pay bills or whatever, like inside your own state or something, and the fact that you are using that, it makes you, I don't know, like a 5% discount on your taxes, because for them it's less problems, right? Then yeah, you can, like, it will work, but it will be like for a certain amount of people, right? But at the end, I think the big thing will be that we have a big currency that everyone will be able to use, right? So if I need to pay in the United States or I need to pay in Asia or anything, I can always use the same coin, right? And that will kind of decentralize the money, but even that's our dream, it's not going to happen in that way. But yeah, I think it's more like all those small ones like Asia coin or Europe coin or whatever, if you give them another use that will help the people inside that area to use it, then will become a bigger adoption. I think they will try to do that, because at the end, if everyone is using coins that they are tied to the dollar, for example, like USDT, basically the US, what will be doing, they will have the power they will control the money around the world, right? So now you have the fight between the euro, the USD, you have the Japanese yen, and yeah, so it all depends on what added value you get on them.
Interesting that you mentioned that. So, someone in the chat box also mentioned, is there a future where we could have one global neutral stablecoin used by everyone, or will it always be fragmented?
Well,
I think
USDT worldwide.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, that USDT right
Mm-hmm.
now is our global, basically stable coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why I think now all the governments are trying to step in,
Mm.
and everyone is trying to control that area because they are realizing that now everyone is using USDT as a global currency,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know. That's just like my opinion. Maybe Jeep thinks in a different way. Like I haven't been in like Europe for long, so maybe also like when you live in a like in European Union or like I live in Dubai, so things are a little bit in a bubble here. But I think maybe someone that's still living in Europe can give you a different perspective about it.
yeah, there is certain exchanges that actually currently don't use USDT over here in Europe, or at least for European clients, just because they haven't really complied to the new MiCA regulation over here in Europe. There's still other exchanges that are still using USDT, and I feel like USDT is also here to stay. So I think left or right, at the end of the day, they will make sure that they comply to all the new regulations that are coming. So here it is slightly different. There's definitely other stablecoins that are now also taking market share here for certain exchanges, but I feel like that's just like just temporary, you know. I think at some point UCT will make sure that they comply to all the regulation, and they will take back their market share over here in Europe as well.
Mm. Okay, here's another question. Do you think we'll start seeing more stablecoins tied to real world assets beyond gold, like oil, real estate, or even carbon credits? What do you
It's
think?
once again like one of those things where I think it's gonna be really hard to get that idea into the head of TradFi. You know, I think it's been there for centuries now, where you have been trading those assets in a certain way, and in order to get a market share there for stablecoins, and in order to change that, it would take a lot. But I don't think it is impossible because
Mm-hmm.
the world has been changing in a tremendous way over the past decades. Everything is just so much more moving towards that online world, where I do think there is a place for stablecoins. So who knows? But I don't think that will happen in the next few years. I think it would take maybe at least like 7, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. But I do think it is possible. But it's going to be very hard because we know how those traditional people are. To change that is going to take a lot.
Mm. All right, keep those questions coming, guys. We'll move on first before we cover more questions. All right. So stablecoins aren't just a concept. They're part of your daily trading strategy, whether it's spot, perps, or even arbitrage. The choice of stablecoin can affect everything from fees to execution. So what really matters when traders pick one? So do you ever hedge your stablecoin exposure by splitting it across different coins like USDT, USDC, and USDE, or do you just pretty much go all in on one?
I,
Maybe.
I yeah, as I said, I think Pez left.
Yeah.
um, I definitely just go all in on UCT. Just like I said, they've been through so many storms, and I do have a lot of faith in them.
Mm-hmm.
I also really wasn't affected by the lunar crash, lucky for me.
Mm.
Um, and I don't want to take that kind of risk. I think keeping your money in crypto is already a risk on itself. So
Mm.
making that an even bigger risk by spreading around several stable coins when you have like the belief that USDT is here to stay, it doesn't make any sense to me. Also, it's providing by far the most liquidity. All the traders that I know are using it for trading and investing to buy their pairs and to sell their pairs. So for me, it just works very, very well. And if there's like a time coming where there's going to be a stable coin that has even better liquidity and a bigger market share, then I'm down to switch. But I wouldn't be one of the first ones to switch to a new stablecoin. No.
Yeah, I think it would take a lot to actually
Yes.
switch, especially since you're so used to using USDT for like 5+ years already, and yeah, it hasn't really given you much problems. So,
Exactly.
uh,
I think I saw an interesting question as well of someone that was asking if we ever lost money on a stablecoin. And what
yes,
we learned from that, I actually made money on USDT several times where it like depecked a little, and then
okay,
everyone was extremely frightened and scared, and I would
hmm
just deposit even more money and buy more USDT when it was depecked a little, and I just knew that at some point it was going to trade back towards $1, and it would be like an easy, quick little gain, basically
okay,
like free money. So I will
nice.
always continue to do that, like all the times that it just depecks like decently, I will just buy some more USDT and make some quick gains.
That's nice. Okay, just a quick little reminder. None of this is financial advice, guys. So,
True.
just a little sharing session. It's all for educational purposes. But yeah, congrats you for
Don't
making.
don't buy USDT when it depecks, guys, unless you want to make some money. But it's no financial advice, as Sabrina
Yeah.
is saying.
Okay, and welcome back, Paz.
I'm back again.
Okay. Maybe you could take this one next. Network congestion and fees can really affect trading, right? Do you factor in which chain your stablecoin is on? For example, like USDT on Tron or USDT on Ethereum, when you plan your moves?
Well, I'm gonna say something. I don't know is exactly what you referred to, but it's something that actually I had a discussion with a friend of mine recently.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, in terms of trading, and when you're looking like for positions like midterm or something, one of the things that now you can start looking at is at the uses of these new stablecoins, right? That they are attached to, let's say, Ripple, or they are attached to Ethereum, or they are attached to, I don't know, Solana, right? Because the more adoption of these stable coins there is, it means there's more transactions on each of these networks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually something very bullish, and us as traders, we can use it on to predict as well, in a way, the movements that these coins that will do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's something that the traders we should start looking at, because it can help us in ways that we didn't expect. It will help us in terms of we're still going on the same, that our still like our favorite as a traders is the USDT in liquidity. Then USDT will be more if you want to store money, so it will give you this kind of feeling of safe. But yeah, like I think we can use it on our benefit, trying to understand more how these stable coins they are attached to these different networks, and why these like these networks they will be very useful for us. Because after I discovered this about Ripple, actually I became very, very bullish on Ripple, right? Because I think the adoption of the RLU, well, the RLUS, no, LUD. Well,
USD, right?
yes, exactly. It's so difficult. So I think after find out that, I think we can use it on our own benefit,
Mm.
in terms of like minimum long term trading.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thanks, Paz. Next, let's talk about what's backing these stable coins, right? So most are USD backed, but we're seeing experiments with gold backed stable coins, commodities, even crypto collateralized ones. Do you think what backs a stable coin actually matters to traders, or is it, like you guys have mentioned, all about how easily you can use it in a trade?
Yeah, I think it's basic for now. For me, is how easily I can use it on the trade.
Mm.
Same
That's
here.
one
Same here.
thing. Yeah, I think if you ask to any of the traders, like one of our biggest difficulties is when you want to exit a position and you don't get because there is not enough liquidity. So I think in that terms, I think that's what most matters right now.
Mm.
Yep.
Okay, and let's say you're looking for a safe haven. Would you prefer to hold like a gold-backed token like XAUT, or would you just trade gold directly through a platform?
I
I
would
would buy.
trade. You can go first, Bess.
I would buy gold actually, and I will keep it at my house.
That's
It's
probably
like
the
you
thing to
see it,
do.
right?
But to trade it, I would just trade it on a platform.
Okay,
Yeah.
so not a go-back token, right?
No, not really. No.
Okay, why not?
It's just
Maybe.
the once again like the convenience. Just like
Okay.
what you're used to. Like I have been trading gold every now and then. Mostly like commodities, so not futures. But
Mm,
yeah, it's just convenience. All about convenience for traders. We have been doing this now for so long, and you're used to certain things, and it almost becomes like a habit. And it already took us so long to become a profitable trader. So then to start, yeah, switching around, which makes it like more complicated or more of like a hassle or more like effort, when
mm-hmm,
it now is pretty convenient, and you know where you can trade what pairs well, and you know where you need to allocate your money into in order to grow your trading portfolio, and to switch all of that around just because there's a gold-backed stablecoin entering the market. To me, it doesn't make any sense, and I think the biggest reason is just not because necessarily like we're lazy, but more like just convenience.
mm,
What are we used to, what feels well, what resonates well with us.
yep.
Yeah, and I feel like that is just the way it is right now, and as I said, it can change, but it will take a long time. And I don't think I would be one of the first to hop onto a new train.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's what's most important, right? When you trade, it has to feel comfortable for you. You don't
Exactly.
go out of your comfort zone because um, you will get affected emotionally as well, right?
Exactly.
So do you ever find yourself preferring to sit in stable coins rather than fiat? Maybe like for security, cash flow, or even peace of mind. Just now you mentioned that you don't really put your money in the bank, right? So do you see yourself doing that more?
Yeah, I will continue to do that because I feel like there's like outside of stable coins, and obviously it carries slightly more risk than keeping your money in the bank. But it also
Mm,
is like the way you look at it, because I also don't fully trust like the banking system, and
mhm,
the interest rates are now quite high, but still like relatively low compared to, yeah, the interest rate that you can earn with staking stable coins, especially if
mhm,
you do like a decent amount of volume on certain exchanges. They do offer you very nice deals and bonuses,
mhm,
um, which should encourage the viewers to do a lot of volume on Bybit.
mhm,
But yeah, you can get certain benefits where it like really exceeds the interest rate that you can get on saving your fiat in a bank.
mm,
Um, and just as long as you keep it at like a reliable exchange or reliable platform into reliable stable coins where you have done your due diligence, and
mm,
you know that they can't really screw you over, then
yep.
I think it's always a good thing to, and once again, no financial advice,
Mhm,
to allocate more into, yeah, platforms and stable coins rather than keeping fiat in the bank. But that's
mm.
just the way that I look at it. Also because I don't really like banks, just
Mm.
and which is probably also one of the reasons why I'm in Web3 and in crypto.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, thanks for sharing. What about you, Paz?
Um, yeah, actually, I agree in most of the things because, well, for me, in my case, I have almost everything on USDT for
Okay.
convenience. It's basically for convenience, right?
Okay.
I try to keep things very simple. It's not something that whenever you're trying to do any type of investment,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people thinks that it's just, oh yeah, I put money here, I put money there, and I make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But investment is a serious thing. So trading is one thing,
Mm,
investment is something else. And whenever you're trying to put your money that
mm,
it took you a lot of time to save or to have that money, you need to
mm,
be very careful and you really need to look at it. So in my case right now, I keep most of my time trying to find good trades,
mm,
right? And trying to use the market right now. So I don't spend much time looking into investments right now, because I think also like the bear market would come. So I think now it's time to make the money and then reevaluate the situations, right? So I like to keep my money on USDT. I think is the easiest and the most convenient. If you want to do something else, it's fine, but you really need to have a deep knowledge of what are you doing with it, right? And right now I don't feel so confident to put my money on something else that I don't fully understand.
Definitely. All right. Let's just take a few questions from the chat. We've covered a lot today, so let's hear what's on your mind. So first up, how do you personally manage risk when keeping large sums in stablecoins on centralized exchanges? Maybe Jip, would you like to take this one first?
Yeah. Okay, can you repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
How do you personally manage risk when keeping large sums in stablecoins on centralized exchanges?
Yeah, I think that's a very easy answer for me, and I'm also gonna give a big shout out here to Bybit, but just keep it at a reliable exchange that you fully trust. Over in the Netherlands, Bybit is also linked to a third party, and that third party is also like making sure that at all times, whatever happens to Bybit, you always get your funds back. So it's not necessarily at Bybit itself, but at the third party, which makes me trust Bybit even more. But I think as long as you keep it at an exchange that you really truly trust, and then that's the way to mitigate your risk in that case. It's the only way, basically.
Thanks for the support, Jip. What about you, Paz?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you can always have your like little money here, little money there, but I mean, whenever you're talking about big sums of money or your biggest chunk of money, you should really be careful on where you put it. And we have few actually reliable exchanges, and this is also a shout out for you guys after all the situations that they happen, how you guys handle everything. You really demonstrate that people can trust this exchange, right? So it's even more reasons to really believe that, yeah, our money is there and is safe, right? So that's number one thing that we need to keep in mind.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Okay, next question. What percentage of stable coins should we have to have a stable portfolio?
Yeah, I think I was reading the question as well, so I already have my answer ready. I think that depends on your situation and your risk appetite, right? Yeah, how much do you want to invest into spot right now at the current prices? In what kind of assets do you want to invest? It really depends on your situation and your risk appetite. But I do feel like it's always a good thing to keep a big chunk in stable coins for when the market dips. And if you have a solid long-term strategy, then that's the way to have a stable portfolio. And it doesn't really depend on the percentage of your money that is in stable coins. It depends on, yeah, when do you decide to be in stable coins and when do you decide to be allocated into spot or into trading. And it depends obviously on the market and your view on the market, which is always risky. You know, I can't tell people right now to invest into spot, even though I might think it's a good time to invest into long-term spot for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other coins. Like, yeah, I can't give advice on that. It's all your own strategy and your own plan that you have to build for yourself in order to have a stable portfolio.
Yeah, totally agree. And it also depends on how long are you looking into it, right? For example, a lot of times I think I want to keep like Bitcoin, for example, for my daughter, right? For when my daughter grows and whenever she's like 40 years old, her savings will be in that, right? That's something. And yes, he mentioned like maybe this is a good time to buy Bitcoin, right? Because you're looking on a very, very long-term strategy. If you're looking in a short-term strategy, not financial advice, but I will wait to see how the market and how the recession goes in the next months. And then maybe I will move most of my things to stables as well. And then reevaluate what will be the next investment or strategy.
Okay. Next question. Can stablecoins realistically be used for day-to-day payments, especially in high inflation countries?
Yeah, it's already happening, actually.
Yeah.
It's already happening. I was born in Chile, in South America, so I have a lot of contact with South American people. And South America, that is countries that the inflation is crazy, people prefer to keep their money on stables. That's why Latin America is a very good market, actually, to step in for this type of product, let's call it, right? Because people doesn't want to be tied their savings or anything through the banks, because things can happen. So people rather have them on an exchange, rather to have them on digital money, like, and in these cases, USDT. In some countries, you're not able to make international purchases because the government will come in and tell you, but you are able to do these international purchases with your stablecoins. So it's something that is really happening. And I think this is showing how much power has all these stable coins. I think maybe we live in these countries that we don't worry about much about that, but in other countries, yes, they do, and they are using like countries like Venezuela, for example, they keep their money on stable coins.
Okay, all right. Last question, because we're running out of time. Do you think the ability to earn yield on a stablecoin will eventually become the industry standard?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, because like I said, at the end of the day, I do think that if not, people will capitulate towards other stablecoins that do offer yield on your stablecoins. So I think every stablecoin that wants to have like a proper market share needs to offer anything in that sense, even if it's just a little bit, because otherwise they're just not going to be able to compete with the other stablecoins. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
they're not going to be able to compete either with the traditional money,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. If we didn't get to your question, or if you have more to say, we definitely want to hear them. Join the all-new Bybit Learn community. It's the perfect place to share your insights, debate key topics, and even post your own market analysis. Whether you have a strong take on today's topic, want to see what other traders think, or just enjoy discussing crypto, this is the best place to do it. And the best part, you can actually earn rewards while contributing. Every time you engage, whether it's posting, commenting, or sharing your analysis, you rack up points that convert into real rewards. You'll get to win a share of the 2,500 USDT prize pool each week. So if today's discussion got you thinking, head over to the Learn community, join the conversation, and start earning while you're at it. All right, so let's wrap things up. Today's session really highlighted just how far the stablecoin space has come and where it's headed next. It's clear we're no longer talking about just digital dollars, but we're talking about programmable value, borderless payments, and a new foundation for how global traders move capital. A huge thank you to our amazing speakers, Paz and Jip, for sharing your insights and giving us the inside look into how real traders are navigating this landscape. And of course, thank you to everyone who tuned in, dropped questions, and engaged with us live. As usual, please note that none of this is meant to be financial advice, and the topics discussed are purely for educational purposes. For more information, please visit our Bybit Learn website, and don't forget to connect with all of us on social media. We've got more exciting content lined up in the weeks to come, so stay tuned for our next live stream. Until then, trade smart, stay curious, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.